Hello and welcome back to the Alliance Tournament. I'm Kill2 and with me is Laz. We're about to watch Raiden fight BricK squad during the group stages of Alliance Tournament 10.
Yeah, we got another ACM-based team here. 3 Rooks, 4 Griffins, 2 Sabers, versus a Kite team, a Kite Tengu team. So we got 3 Tengus, Scimitar, Claymore. So they're gonna have the speed bonus from the Claymore. I don't this tournament. I don't really like the Kite team. I think the arena is a little bit too small for them to get that range that they need to stay away from these ships. But that being said, with the heavy missiles, they will be able to hit at range, possibly get a couple volleys off, get some of these Griffins off the field right at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, these are two really interesting teams, even though we've seen things sort of like both teams. The intricacies are really different. Seeing 4 Jaguars here is kind of new. The heavy missile Tengus we haven't seen so far in the 12-mans. And then we did see that ECM heavy setup before, but they didn't really go for any pure DPS ships, whereas Raiden has chose the 2 Slipners, which, by the way, warped fairly close to the beacon, whereas the rest of all the other ships on the arena warped to max range to the beacon. So,
yeah, I think this match really is a toss-up. I mean, if they're able to maybe clear some of these jams off the field, they will be able to fire their weapons, or maybe get out of range of the ECM of the Griffins in time to get some missile volleys off.
And there goes the first Griffin. That's a bad sign that these ECM teams, you really, really don't want to lose anything. I wonder if that's going to hurt them in the long run. But that was also a kill by the Tengus and not the Jaguars. From the looks of it so far, the Jaguars haven't gotten anywhere near the Jaguars haven't gone across the field at all, but they're on
the Jaguars.
They're
looks like the Jaguars are going to be not doing much. I think the Jaguars are jammed because, as you see from your UI, they're jamming everything except for the Claymore. You're now seeing just damps applied to the Scimitar or something. They're trying to get some of those reps off the field as the Griffin gets volleyed through shields and instantly back up, which is the great thing about shield reps, is the shield reps hit at the beginning of cycle, unlike armor logistics reps, which hit the end of the cycle of the module.
Yep, that's right. So some damage finally starting to be taken by the BricK squad team for those 2 Sabers. Presumably that Scimitar is jammed. Another Griffin down, though. They switched targets, switched from the Griffin that was catching reps over to the other Griffin, and were able to kill him before the Scimitar could catch up. So nice choice there by BricK squad.
Yeah, I definitely think the difference here is that these Tengus being able to stay at range are in the fall off the jammers, so the jammers aren't going to be working as effectively. So you're not going to have as strong a jam strength being able to jam these Tengus, and they're able to get these missile volleys off. As you see, both those Griffins are down. But the 3rd Griffin is tanking like a hero in armor.
Yeah, he's still hanging in there, and still no kills for Raiden, even though it looks like they've managed to do a pretty good job locking out most of the DPS coming from the BricK squad team. They still haven't managed to kill anything, which is pretty important. Another thing about the Tengus is they're going to have really high sensor strength. The BricK squad Tengus have ECCMs running, and they have pretty high native sensor strength anyway, so that's certainly one thing they've got going for them.
Yeah, we have a web being applied to Wolffang now. So I mean, I don't know if these Sleipners are gonna be able to get on top of them, or if they're going to pop this Saber, keeping the web before they are able to get there. As more and more of these jams are falling off, looks like I haven't seen any reps yet from the Scimitar. So I'm not sure if they're doubling up their Mimitar jammers just to keep this thing perma-jammed. But like we said, we've seen a lot of Mimitar this tournament, so I'm sure these Rooks are packing extra in Mimitar jammers.
So, yeah, the Slipners definitely are in full chase mode now. They're diving in, trying to get somewhere where they can... And there we go. We start seeing a Tengu take some serious damage. They really hadn't committed until this point, but now they certainly have, and they're close. There's actually really not a lot of drawback to them committing. They kind of expose themselves to the Jaguars, whatever they happen to be doing, but the Tengus don't really care how far away the Slipners are, so they might as well go ahead and get in there.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely see the tracking disruptors from the Jaguars, and possibly the sensor dampener on the Scimitar. But we're not really able to see much else. But like I said, we're still not seeing any reps from that Scimitar. These Rooks have to be keeping all their Mimitar jammers just on this one ship, since you have jams falling off of the. Wow, we just saw a Tengu just instantly die. I think it might have gotten. Yep, it did. It did die to a boundary violation.
And that is certainly a risk you run by trying to run these Kite teams. You know, like you were saying, the arena's small. It makes it hard to evade damage. And what ends up happening is you often end up pushed close to the edge of the arena, which makes you risk running out of the arena, but also makes you easy to trap and tackle. So
that Tengu dying to boundary violation is huge, because they're going to be able to spread those jammers more across these Tengus.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, the Tengu that died was at full HP, whereas you have Wolffang about to enter armor.
Yep, you're absolutely right. That is a huge blow. Makes the ECM way more effective. Although that said, now all 4 Griffins down, so only 3 Rooks on the field able to jam. You can see there's a couple ships on the BricK squad side that don't even have jammers applied, including Claymore, Jaguar, Merlin, and actually, yeah. So there is some ships at least operable for BricK squad.
Yeah, Raiden is doing an excellent job keeping the Scimitar jammed. They do have him webbed. It looks like they are switching to the Scimitar, even though they have the Tengu and armor. But you're seeing so much damage being spread out here. I'm not sure, as the Jaguar entering structure, and the Merlin entering. Merlin just died, so I mean, you're seeing a lot of spread DPS, even though this one Tengu is into armor. So I'm not sure if they maybe just drones on him.
Wow, so there goes a Saber. We just lost a Jaguar as well. Definitely damage getting taken on both sides. This is actually still really close. If they take this Tengu down, it's going to be really hard for BricK squad to get anything else done because they're just low on ships. But
yeah, I mean, these Rooks keeping that Scimitar perma-jammed is amazing. They have him tackled, and it looks like the Rooks actually were the only ones doing DPS with that Tengu. It looks like the Sleipnirs themselves are picking off some of these frigates that are being left behind.
That makes sense. There goes the BricK squad Scimitar. Yeah. That's a big blow. Although at the same time, a Raiden Rook's starting to take a whole lot of damage now. Look at that. That Scimitar damped out. The damp just dropped, so maybe now he'll get a lock and rep this Rook in time. Yes, there it is. Goes. Wow, that was close. They switched damps onto the Scimitar, or the Scimitar left range, and the damp made it impossible for him to rep. But he just got back into range in time to save that Rook.
Yeah, had they had both Tengu still left alive, not dying to that boundary violation, they would have taken that Rook down, and maybe even a second Rook.
Yeah, geez, boundary violations are so brutal. It's such a huge blow, especially when you've got so much of your, the bulk of your team concentrated in a few small ships, and then you throw one away. That's just like.
Had it been any other frigate or anything else on this team, it would have been okay. But just that Tengu, the linchpin of this.
You know what? That could actually, a big cause that could be the 100 MNAB. These are 100 MN Tengus, which means they have really, really low agility. Another boundary violation. We just lost a Jag to another boundary violation.
Yep. So that as I was talking about a frig dying to boundary violations, we lose one.
But yeah, it can be really tough flying the 100 MN fits. It's nice because it gives you more flexibility in terms of avoiding tackle, because you can't be scrammed, but it also makes you much less agile, and so you have to kind of plan your piloting ahead of time in a way. You really can't get going towards the boundary because you might not be able to slow down in time. So.
Yep. So we're down to 1 Tengu, 1 Claymore left, 4 BricK squad. And as you're talking about the 100 MNAB, I actually FC most times from a 100 MNAB Tengu. And a big problem that I have with the 100 MNAB Tengu is it takes, I think, 14 seconds just to align to get off the grid. So, I mean, it's very bulky with that oversized module, because 100 MN is a battleship class module, and you're putting on a cruiser-sized hull. But it makes it go fast, but like I said, turns like a brick.
Yep. And yeah, with just 2 ships left, like we've talked about plenty in the past, the fewer ships you have, the more ECM just really starts to take total control of the match. And at this point, there's really almost no chance that either of these BricK squad ships will have a lock for the rest of the fight.
Oh, absolutely not. If they were able to keep most of these ships jammed for most of the tournament or most of the match, then there's no way that these are getting unjammed.
Claymore at half shields now. It won't be too much longer until the Sleipnirs are able to finish him off. He's actually running away. You saw he was going like 2K a second a minute ago, which probably means skirmish links for speed.
Yeah,
I don't think Claymore can go 2K without heat or links or both. But he will be taking damage from the Rooks the whole time. And actually, one thing we can talk about is Rook DPS. You know, the other ECM setup brought 4 Rooks, had no base DPS outside of those Rooks. They had frigs, but they didn't have... it looked like they didn't have much DPS. But the Rooks actually do okay damage, yeah?
Well, they do mediocre damage. They're probably close to same damage as an Enyo, which Enyo is actually quite good DPS, about 350 DPS, like I've been saying earlier this morning. But it's not tremendous. Like if these had ASBs, these Tengus had ASBs fitted, I think that they would have been able to tank this DPS.
Yeah, you might be right. That's definitely an interesting possibility, and we did see that earlier. You know, where having ASBs on the Tengus in case your logistics isn't available for whatever reason can potentially offer a chance to tank late in a match, especially.
Oh, definitely.
So this Claymore dropping now. He's going to drop, and then just this one Tengu to go, who. Will probably take a minute to catch up to. I doubt they have very many webs left. Maybe a web or 2 on the Sleipnirs, hopefully. But the 100 MN fit doesn't care too much anyway, and he'll try to evade for a while here. Yeah, but yeah, we could talk. I mean, Kite. Someone actually asked in the forums in the Ask Commentators thread about sniper fleets. which it's kind of a funny term, but I sort of actually think of that as kiting fleets and kind of the idea of doing a lot of damage from far away. How do you feel about that in this format? How do you feel about that in a 12-ship format?
Well, like we're saying, the boundary is 125 radius on each side, so it's really not enough room to maneuver, especially with these oversized afterburner burning Tingus that we're seeing now. I think it might work possibly with, say, a tornado setup, just because you have the alpha volley to enter immediately volley the ship. Possibly beam tachyons, but I don't think the beam tachyons would work out as well because they just cap out trying to get away.
Yeah, and you just have this issue with so many ships on the field. It's very, very difficult to keep yourself away from everything. You know, as the match starts to sprawl and the support frigs kind of burn all over the place, there's just nowhere to go where you can avoid tackle because you have the boundary violations. If you're on TQ, a lot of time with infinite space, you can keep burning in a direction, keep your fleet together, and create a lot of room between you and your opponents. Whereas in the tournament, with limited radius on the arena, you really wind up running out of room. And we weren't watching the clock, and we've actually run out, so that Tengu will survive. But Raiden will take the match. So congratulations to them. ECM now 2-0 so far in this format.
Yeah, it's a very good setup.
Yep. So back to the studio. We'll see you guys in a little bit.